Colette, what's going to be the mentality going into the playoffs, considering this team has been undefeated and only has lost in the playoffs? There's certainly some pressure there to not get spooked going into the only time of the season you guys have lost. So what's going to be the mentality to uphold the consistency you've had all season long?
Yeah, I think we've said from day one that pressure's a privilege. We accept the pressure that comes with the postseason play. Really thankful and grateful for getting another division title. Mentality is a one-game mentality, so we're considering this obviously a two-game weekend for all intents and purposes, but at the end of the day we go to Indy, we try to do what we've been doing well all season and execute the game plan and enjoy it.
Has there been any part of training or games that have kind of been targeted at replicating that pressure that they might face this weekend, or kind of mimic those close games that you guys, the draws and stuff this season?
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of having a roster as deep as ours is that the training environment sometimes is even more stressful than the game day environment, which again is something that we're really grateful for and thankful for. Playing against our back line for our forward line is tough, so hopefully going onto game day the stress is off and they can get in that sweet spot of flow pretty quickly, make good decisions. But yeah, we've done everything that we can to create that level of stress in the training environment so that game day feels easy.
What have you learned from the players, the veteran players that have been here, that have gone through the playoff losses, about their drive to get it done this year?
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd say on that is, I want to thank the coaching staff and the front office crew that have been here and built this winning tradition. It's definitely something that, we're riding the wave of that, and we're grateful for that. The returning players have really brought that kind of unfinished business perspective to this, and I think that really drives the squad as a whole. We know that we're grateful for what's been done, and we're not content to leave it where it is, and so we're going to do our best to put out the best performance this weekend.
Coach, in the preseason you talked about building on what Coach Lukic used to call the Aurora way. You said you wanted to continue that and then put your own stamp on it. Now looking at, on the field, obviously you did that, being undefeated again, but maybe talk to us a layer beneath that of how you felt, the team has grown into your version of the Aurora way this year.
Yeah, Coach Lukic and staff have built that tradition of the high press and being relentless and going after lots of goals and scoring. We all know that in sports, really the difference between being at a good level and being at the highest level comes down to mentality. I'm really proud of this group, the way that they've really built that tenacity and resilience, the willingness to do the work off the ball and on the ball, play with freedom and creativity. And as easy it is to say that, it's very hard to create an environment where players have ownership over that. So disciplined defense can lead to creativity in the attack. It's hard to do that, but I believe that together we've created that environment and the players are really, really thriving.
How do you balance player development with coaching this year, or does it work out to be the same thing?
Yeah, no, I would say that we don't look at outcomes, right? It's a team sport, but it's a collection of individuals, so individual development is really important. I think that knowing them as individuals, finding out what pressures they're under, how they respond to stress, what motivates them is really part of that coaching piece of getting them to buy in collectively, to enjoy each other, working with each other so that they can perform. And I think that we see that with the team chemistry. This team is tight, they care about each other, and I think that when the individual is taken care of, the collective also feels good for
I've heard the phrase unfinished business from a few players today. Is that a bit of a mantra or tagline for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the reality of a club like this that has these lofty goals and I think bold vision for the future. And we have unfinished business. We've said from the outset we want to win the USLW championship. That's the goal. How we get there, the process is more important than some of the outcomes that we've achieved during the season. And we're not satisfied, right? So we're excited for that, and hopefully we can get business finished, so we don't have to talk about unfinished business.
Just to be in the company of, we have PWHL take home the first championship, Lynx just took home the Commissioner's Cup. Now we're focusing on the Aurora. I mean, does it feel? How does it feel just to be in that lineage and of women's sports in the state? And does it heighten the excitement around your lofty goals?
Absolutely, right. The Minnesota Lynx set the tone and that pioneered through. We know that this marketplace is a massive supporter of women's sports, and we know that is something that we want to have soccer be a part of the conversation. We're grateful for the other sports and the way that we've kind of leveraged each other's success, and some have pioneered the way for us, and we're hoping to do that for others that come after us as well. So yeah, excited for it. Excited for the future of what women's soccer in this state can look like.
Speaking of support, given the fact that you guys are undefeated, why isn't the game here? Why is it on a neutral site? You want to talk about support and growing games. Why not play it here, or if Indy deserves it, at their place?
Yeah, I think the USL has a process for a bid process, and go through that. I think part of any bid to host is part of the strategy of growing the game in different marketplaces and giving other people the opportunity to do that. We're just grateful and thankful to be able to have the means to go to Detroit City this weekend and see what their marketplace looks like, and maybe inspire some young boys and girls in Detroit to play soccer and continue the game as long as they choose to.
Is there an Indy 11 way? Obviously, they knocked out the team last year. Is there a style? What sort of attributes do they have?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that has been a consistent message for this group is last year's Indies team is not this year's Indies team. Last year's Aurora team is not this year's Aurora team. So historical context is important. Maybe not in the present. We've scouted them well. We know what they do well. And we lock into what we want to do, and we take our game to them. And hopefully we get that unfinished business finished.
We're here at postseason media availability with Addy Weichers. Addy prepping for another run into the playoffs after another undefeated season. What makes this team unique from the past 2 years while still sporting that undefeated record?
Yeah, I think it's been amazing having different veteran experience, people from the first year as well as the second, and then newcomers that just have that same drive and same passion that have gelled really well with their team. So I think it's a mix of having both past and present players that have done really well.
And you started the year playing at center back, filling in. You're flexible in that way. Now more into the rhythm, playing in the midfield a lot with Morgan Stone, and then some creative options in front of you. Talk about the midfield specifically and kind of your central balance that you have as like an anchor of the squad.
Yeah, it's been really fun because I get to play with all sorts of different players, and I've been grateful that I've been able to be versatile and help the team, but it's also amazing playing with so many great players and being able to attack but also defend when necessary, and then just working with the players we have in the midfield. They're amazing, so it makes it easy. They make me look good. So
new coaching staff, obviously turnover, but same story, different chapter in terms of finishing undefeated.
Yep.
Talk about, obviously head coach Colette Montgomery, but you have a whole slate of support here.
Yeah.
Just talk about what, you've gotten out of working with these coaches, and obviously some of them, you'd never met before.
Yeah, it's really fun to meet new coaches and see their styles and how they like to do things. I think I appreciate that Colette really emphasizes having a good relationship with the players to get to know kind of who they are, what makes them, and they have value, and so I think that's really helped us find confidence in ourselves and in the team, and so I think that's definitely helped to our success this season.
Really big matchup against last year's champion, someone who knocked you out last year. Crazy to have this as a first round game.
Yeah.
The intensity will surely be high. At the end of practice here, you had a pretty long coach talk, a team talk in the center. Talk about what the team's kind of mindset and what mentality is and going into this big game.
Yeah, I think first of all, we're just grateful, really grateful for the opportunity, grateful to Detroit for hosting us. And then just, this is a business trip. This is what we're here for. This is what we've been working towards. And so Coach Tom talked to us a lot about preparation, anything we can do with nutrition, sleep, packing, anything possible in the next few days before the game starts, just to make sure we're as sharp as possible going into the game.
Awesome. And what do you have words for in terms of your fans? There's only so many that can travel probably to Detroit. Hopefully, if you win those games, obviously you're going one day at a time, they can be back here at TCO. But do you have any words for the Aurora supporters as you go to the away playoffs this year?
Yeah, well, we're just super grateful for the support we've had this season, and we're super excited to play in the playoffs and bring it home for the fans. We love the fans.
Thank you. with Aurora. Talk about sort of the pivot now in mindset from regular season to sort of knockout playoff games.
I think we're still focused like on the same concepts and what we want to do, like still trying to get the ball up as fast as we can and get to goal and break lines as much as we can. So we're still focusing on the same concepts, but now like obviously there's a new energy going into playoffs and we're determined to win. And this weekend we're going to win 2 games and advance to the next. So I'd say just a shift in the mindset, but still sticking to the same like soccer concepts.
Well, and also a shift in the matchup. You've had these same sort of folks where you play the home and away with the regular season format. Now you're going up against a team that at least you haven't played before in Indy 11. Talk about that shift in preparation of new opponent, new setup, new venue, all that.
Yeah, well, definitely we're doing scout on them. So like finding their best players and their system of play and what we want to do against them. We haven't really gone over it yet, but we're scouting them. And then, like, even though they have their own game, we're still focused on our game and our concepts and what we want to do. So scouting them while also still sticking to our game plan and doing what we usually do.
And the season is so quick, it's so fast, so you really haven't been in Minnesota that long, but I'm sure the difference from now, from when you came in, is still so different. Talk about, for you, from your perspective as a new player, come in, you know, aren't immediately a core player. Now you're one of the points leaders, just an absolute, you know, dagger in the attack. Talk about how different it feels now compared to when you landed in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect coming into Minnesota. I certainly didn't think like I would be scoring a lot of goals or doing anything else. So, I mean, it's just been like an amazing feeling to be able to contribute to the team, because going in, I didn't really think, I didn't know what I could do because it was a new environment, new team, but it feels amazing to be able to contribute and just play with amazing players.
Nice, thanks, Saige.
Thank you.
All right, Julia, you are now settled in. You are a center back now.
I am a center back now.
Started the year as a holding midfielder. Even when I did sort of an early scout of you, I sort of guessed this might be something they ask you to do just because of, you know, your size and skill set and what the team needed.
Right.
For you, you know, do you now feel more like, oh, I'm playing center back versus someone sort of covering a spot?
I mean, center back is a position that I have played before. And honestly, I'm just happy to help the team however the team needs help. And whatever the coaches ask for me, I'm willing to do it to help the team. That's the most important thing. So, yeah, I'm happy to be playing there. I'm happy to be helping the team. I'm happy that we're headed in a good trajectory. We've been doing well, so I feel good going into playoffs.
And how much of that comfort level of sort of, you know, happy to help the team, all that stuff, now you've had multiple games to do it. You're playing alongside Nicole Norfolk, who's obviously, you know, a long time, you know, true blue center back. How much is it you sort of leaning on her and you two being a tight pair together to sort of gain that comfort?
Yeah, Nicole's a very calm player. She's very experienced. She is a good communicator, so that definitely helps me, and that helps the transition when you're moving to a different position. When you have someone next to you who's calm and confident and a good communicator, that definitely helps a lot. So working next to her, I feel really good, and I feel like we've gotten a lot of good minutes together and developed a good partnership, so that's really nice.
And there's a lot of really veteran players in the sense that, you know, they're post-college, have played, you know, 70, 80, 90 D1 games, maybe even some pro experience. You are maybe one of the most experienced of those. You have some overseas pro experience. You've done, you know, obviously had your career at Oregon State, all that stuff. For you, how much do you think that sort of veteran presence of folks like you, Khalees, Alicia, you know, Morgan Stone, like all these older folks, Maya Hansen, even though she hasn't been playing games, all that kind of stuff, how much do you think that veteran sort of experience plays into giving this team that solid mentality game to game?
I think as a veteran who's experienced a lot, played all over the world, played in a bunch of different environments, you can draw on that and you can use that to help your team, support your team the best you can. And you want to try to lean on that even when you're struggling or the team's struggling. You try to lean on that experience to just help support your team and support, yeah.
And who are some players, we've had all these games, so many goal scorers, so many like high flying stat lines, you know, folks like you playing on the back line, getting these clean sheets. There's a ton of players who still maybe haven't gotten a lot of shine, or I haven't interviewed, or people haven't seen. Who are some players that you've seen in training or just day in, day out that you think have been sort of maybe underappreciated, or just, you know, folks who are making the team, you know, have that drumbeat of success throughout the season that maybe folks wouldn't appreciate from the outside?
That's a really good question. That's a hard one. It's hard to pick one person because I feel like the training environment is really solid. I feel every day that I'm challenged. I feel like maybe there's someone that you're not seeing on the field a lot, but me personally, they're challenging me. KK is one of those players, maybe Tess. I'm going to say forwards because those are the players that are playing against me. I think all those players, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.